Hey guys, and welcome to Gamebucks. So, I had been watching a lot of high MMR games lately, and across all of them, I see like five common things that every pro player does to ensure that they dominate the match, to ensure that they win. And I decided that hey, why not? Let's just dive into it. So, tip number one, avoid toxicity. Whether it's someone in your team, whether it's someone in the enemy team, just mute any toxic player that you see. The game is too short to argue with a stranger over internet. Ultimately, while it may not seem to be a lot, but any time you spend typing or being a keyboard warrior, you can just spend playing the game and actually winning it. And eventually, this toxicity just gets to you, and you don't enjoy the game in first place. Like, at least I play Dota to like unwind from a long day and relax. I don't want it to be another toxic mess where I just spend hours arguing and I'm not left with a good mood altogether. So yes, just play the game and ignore the toxicity that is around. And essentially, just don't get tilted. The more you stay calm, the more you will take good decisions and win the game. So, tip number two, dominate the game with your hero choice. So, contrary to how it might sound, it does not mean to just pick one meta hero every game. Like, you should definitely not spam Medusa 300 games a row because she's strong. That is like just not fun. A lot of beauty of Dota is in its variety, in the variety of playstyles and in the variety of experiences you can have. So, for any hero that you pick, for any match that you play, just see that what your team needs and what is going to shut down the enemy. For instance, if my team is going on a very pusher meta style, then a support like Shadow Shaman or a mid like Leshak or a carry like Klinks can really add to it. And similarly, if the enemy is having Brood Mother, Nature's Prophet, or a lot of Zoo playstyle, then Earthshaker would be a very good pick to just auto win team fights. A lot of games in Dota are just won or lost in first 5 minutes of drafting. Also, like for every game that you play, after the end, whenever you are at the post game screen, just see or think for a minute that were you able to fulfill the role you thought that you were going to. Like if you pick Shaman to push, were you able to push? Were you able to support your carry? Or were you just shut down but you won or lost coincidentally carry forward by your team? Ultimately, once you had enough games, like I think around 10, 20, 25, you will start seeing the pattern yourself and you would just rise out of that MMR. Tip number 3, keep an eye out on timer. Whether it is for pulling a camp, whether it is for taking Lotus, whether it is for the bounty runes, you should always be mindful of the timing. For example, some of the important times are minute 3, minute 6, minute 7 wisdom rune, and sometime after minute 10 you can assume that a mid would also gank. So always keep an eye on the timer and see that hey, what is the objective that I should be pursuing. Should I go for Roche? Should I go for the runes? Should I go for the Lotus? Should I go for the towers? Should I be expecting a gank? All of these can be answered by just checking the minimap and the timer at the top. For instance, in this game you can see that the clock has not even hit minute 6, but everybody is just going for the Lotus. And that is simply because Lotus can just help you win that lane or just avoid that death. Early game, at least for the first 9 minutes, if you can get all the Lotuses, it's like a free win in the lane. Or at least you can sustain or outtrade with the enemy. Similarly, bounty runes at minute 3 and minute 6 and minute 9 and 12, they could be very important for hitting your item timings. They could be very important for letting your carry hit the item timings. And similarly, at the end of every minute mark, you might want to check, do you want to stack the camp? Do you want to pull the camp? Do you want to stack the ancients? And lastly, the minute 7 wisdom rune. Like in this game, you would see it was not even 7, it was 6:50 when he just started going towards the wisdom rune. And even this is late because if the enemy has somebody like Nature's Prophet, they will just teleport the moment clock hits 7 and steal your rune to get that XP advantage. So always keep one eye at the timer, and I think early game you would be able to capture or win a lot of your objectives and timings with that. So tip number 4 is to just end the game ASAP. Do not drag the game under any circumstance. The more you drag the game, no matter how much you're winning. The more you drag the game, the more are the chances that you will lose. Somebody could simply disconnect. Somebody could simply just grief. Or somebody could just go on and just feed their carry 5 deaths. Or your team can just get a wipe out and they can just kill all your towers late game. Also, one of the most neglected aspect is that you are winning early because they are having a good late. They might have just not have a good draft for early game, but late game they might be able to catch up to you, or even just so it is just simply better to end the game whenever you have the chance and take your sweet MMR instead of just dragging the game on and on. So now, since we talked about ending the game ASAP, let's also talk about what actually drags the game and what to do in that case. And so, coming to tip number 5, how to push high ground. So, in a lot of games, you end up in a composition where the enemy has a Drow Ranger or a sniper, or they just have a very strong turtling advantage. You just are not able to push high ground. How should you break that deadlock in that case? There are quite a few things you can do actually. The first thing, which surprisingly nobody pays a lot of attention to, is just wait for the next tier neutrals. If you're having the advantage that the enemy has to turtle, then the enemy is pretty much locked up in the base. Keep them there. Don't let them jungle and grab the next tier neutrals you can. This is especially important if they are tier 5. Tier 5 neutrals with you can simply break the game. They can simply be an auto win if the enemy is caught by surprise. I have personally lost a lot of games where enemy tank just crawled up with a mirror shield and I got a spell back on me. The next thing to take care of is to always maintain that gold advantage. The enemy is going to stay uphill till the time they're not at an advantage. And that's why it is very important for you to keep your gold advantage until and unless you're able to end the game or push high ground. Because once the enemy gets that advantage to crawl out of the base, they're going to make a comeback. So whatever happens, keep the lanes pushed, keep the jungles farmed. Do not let them jungle, do not let them get out of the base. Keep their GPM and XPM to a minimum. The third tip, this is actually very common in higher brackets, but in lower brackets not a lot of people do, and that is save for buyback. It is very possible that you pick a bad fight or you just get caught in a black hole or a echo slam and you just get wiped out. You should always save gold for buyback so that you can at least salvage that situation or just come back to the fight at minute 60. Another Daedalus is not going to do anything, but a buyback and TP back to fight is definitely going to either make or break the game in your favor. One other thing that a lot of people do to break this deadlock is getting items to change the position. How many of you have tried to turtle but get caught off guard by the Magnus blinking in and just skewering you out into the enemy team? Position change items like Force Staff could be like very effective to just break the deadlock or pick off and snipe an enemy. So something like Fudge Hook, Force Staff, or anything to just drag the enemy away is helpful. In case you can do neither, try to push all the 3 lanes at once, because they will not be able to stick together if you're pushing all 3. You can use that to at least pick one or some of them off. The other thing that you can do is definitely take the Roshan. But if you've already taken Roshan, make sure you do not waste the Rosh banner. Rosh banner renders your creeps invulnerable if they're within its radius. And this is definitely going to force a fight. This is like your automatic key that hey, this is where the next team fight is going to happen. Make sure you have that area warded, make sure you have sentries placed there, and make sure you do not get caught in enemy's black hole or echo slam in that case. My last tip is again a repetition of above. Be very mindful of who the enemy team's initiator is, because if they are good, they're just going to stay in the shadows until it's their moment to ulti and wipe out. A lot of the games I have just gotten wiped out by the Enigma blinking in and black holing the entire team once, twice, thrice until the gold advantage was over and the enemy was able to end the game. And as a bonus tip, you see this item here, right? Just build it. Build Black King bar. If you're in a low MMR or you think that this item is worthless, just buy it and just activate it and then jump into the fight. kill the target you want, do whatever you want, but buy it and activate. A lot of people just get a Daedalus, a Desolator, a second Daedalus, a Butterfly, and then they just get chain stunned by the enemy Shaman the entire fight. A hero like Shaman can just keep you chain stunned forever and ever with the right items, and you would not be even able to like move an inch in the team fight. So make sure you just get Black King Bharat. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.